Hello, everybody. I have a few more things I want to give my perception on before I quit doing these videos. My book comes out. But anyway, I'm going to do some on the different geometric patterns and how they affect consciousness and how your consciousness is tied to the geometric perception of the different geometric realities we're exposed to. I was asked by one of my subscribers. But what I did this morning is I just opened up YouTube for the first time in a few days, and the first thing I seen was the Flash and all these things that are going to happen. Well, I don't see the great shift, ascension, evolution of humanity, wherever you want to call it. I don't see it the way the world sees it. I don't see it as something that's happening to the world. I see it's happening through us. It has to happen individually first and then collectively second. See, every consciousness carries a pressure, the pressure of trying to control, that pressure of resistance, the pressure of holding on to identities that no longer serve us. But we all eventually reach that pressure point, where the surrender that I always talk about becomes the only option. And that's how it happens in a single life. The world isn't any different, and what we're witnessing on the global stage, it isn't random chaos. It's an implosion. Too much tension held too long by systems built for survival consciousness. So surrender doesn't happen all at once. It happens one person at a time. Each individual surrender releases pressure from the collective field. Each nervous system that lets go softens the whole structure. But as more surrender occurs, the remaining pressure concentrates on those unsurrendered. That's why in the later stages of the shift will feel more intense because the energies are more compressed. So things will become more and more uncomfortable, like a landslide. It begins slowly and then suddenly turns into an avalanche. And this is where the great separation appears, not as punishment to others and definitely not as abandonment, but this is a temporary phase. See, as the frequencies shift, resonance reorganizes. Those who surrender often find themselves isolated, not because they're meant to be alone, but because coherence hasn't caught up yet. I see this in my personal journey. Long periods of quiet, distance from people that I absolutely love, having to step away, not in anger, but for alignment. But this separation isn't permanent, it's temporary. As more people surrender and as the polarity shifts from control to trust, the collective field begins to stabilize. So we'll start to come back together, but not through the obligation or through the survival bonds like we had before, family, etc. But through resonance. Some relationships will return. They'll be different. They'll be cleaner, quieter, and more honest. And some loved ones will meet us again from a different vantage point. Not all, but that's okay because ascension isn't about preserving the old world. It's about reuniting what can be met in truth. And there's something else happening at the same time. Like I said in my other video, new life is arriving. Children are being born into nervous systems that are already surrendered. They're not coming in to fight the old structures like we were. They're not here to wake up later like we did. They're arriving after the pressure's been released. They come into homes where the control is softened and where presence is the normal behavior, where safety doesn't come from fear. They won't need to undo as much as we did. They won't have the deeply broken parts that we've had. They won't need to unlearn survival in the same way that we did. They're not here to struggle their way into surrender. They're here to embody what surrender already looks like. And that's how this transition completes itself, not through collapse alone, but through continuity. The separation exists as long as the surrender is incomplete. Once enough pressure releases, distance is no longer required. Isolation turns into integration. And the reunion happens, not by effort, but by alignment. One surrender at a time, one polarity shift at a time, one generation easing the way for the next. That's the apex, not the ending. But a return, and this is how this is all folding out naturally, not no presto changeo. But anyway, love and light, I went real long.